Well, let's kick it off, Rachel. It's a pleasure to have you here. I'm grateful that you accepted my invitation, and I'd like to hand over the mic to you to say a few words about yourself.
Okay, so thank you very much for inviting me. It's really exciting. We've been in touch for a while now, and I'm following all your work at your company, and your offering is amazing. And I'm happy for the opportunity here to discuss with you product adoption, which is a topic that is really close to my heart. I feel very passionate about it and the value it brings to the PM team in the company that is adopting the usage of product adoption. So a few words about myself. As you mentioned already, I've been in the high-tech industry and specifically in product management for over 20 years now. Before joining Appsflyer, I was VP product for several startup companies in different industries, different type of products, most of them SaaS, but not only. Some of them were also service products and IoT, very, very interesting stuff. At Appsflyer, I'm heading the product operations team, which is the team that enables product managers to work efficiently within themselves and with tangent groups, and obviously bring the highest value to the company as product managers. So that's background.
Super interesting. So, I think before we jump into adoption and how to increase adoption, it's always useful to pick a definition of how we define product adoption, and then the second part of my question will be, how do you measure it?
Perfect. Okay, thank you. So, well, when you define something, you define it in two ways. One is the positive aspect, and the other is what is it not. So I would like to start with what is it not, and because it's confusing. Some people do say these things are product adoption, and what is it not? It is not the number of clicks, not the number of sessions, not the number of logins to your platform. This is not measuring adoption. This is measuring interest, I would say. But this is not yet using the product and is not yet utilizing it to bring value to your users. What we do want to measure in product adoption is how deep are they using your product? And I'm using the word deep, and I'll explain it in a sec. How deep are your users using your product to extract value that they need? How valuable do they find your product? And by valuable and by how deep, I mean which type of actions do they perform over time in a way that you define as things that you know solve their needs, solve their problems. You think of user scenarios, usage scenarios, jobs to be done, whatever term you want to use to define what they try to extract from your system. And then you define what actions, what customer journey, what usage scenarios within your platform, within your service are showing or extracting that value to the customer. And then you measure that, which means it's not a single action, and it's not, again, not clicks, not these types of things, but you think of the actions that they need to perform over time, and you define the actions, set of actions, and the weights into measuring a value that represents the depth of usage. For example, you could say that in your product, you want to see customers opening the dashboard at least once a week, and then filtering it and slicing and dicing data in there, and then also sharing it, saving and sharing it for future use. That would be a workflow that demonstrates the value, because they're not only looking at it, they interact with it, they save it. It means that they have an intention for further use, etc. So that will be just one scenario, but you could define and understand what scenarios you expect them to use. Another thing about product adoption is that it differs between products, and it can also differ in terms of timeline in your product. So, for example, at Appsflyer, we have in our platform at least 15 sub-products, and each sub-product at Appsflyer defined their definition of what product adoption is and the level of depth users can get within the product, because different users, different scenarios, they can use it for different jobs to be done of theirs. So it needs to be adjusted and take this into consideration. And as you add more capabilities to your product, you need to go back to your product adoption and adjust it, add these new capabilities into the weighted score of usage so that you track the real value that is changing over time. Okay, I think that's the first question.
There's a lot I'd love to unpack here. The first of which is in your company, in Appsflyer, whose job is it to come up with let's say one of the sub products to define these KPIs and what gets measured? Because before you start measuring, somebody has to go through or think through what is valuable, what they believe is valuable for their customers, and start measuring that. And can you give us a couple of examples?
Of course. I would first discuss who's doing it, and then what would be the thinking method of defining these variables, these actions which combined create the product adoption. So first of all, I believe it's my take is that it's the product manager with their analyst. It's their job to define the level of depth of usage of their product, taking into account the jobs to be done, the scenarios, the value that different users can extract from their product. They know which answers they give to which problems. So they need to say, if a customer comes with that problem, this is what we expect them to do, and let's track this trail of actions. If another customer comes with another question, this is what we expect them to do. And obviously there is a depth and volumes, etc., to each of these things. So it's their job. How do they define what matters? So it depends where you are, which stage of the product you are. Do you have past data or not? When you don't yet have past data, and I believe that it's a scenario that should happen because product adoption needs to be set at the get-go. You don't wait to measure product adoption. You define to yourself, what would I imagine product adoption look like? And then you think of what you would expect them to do before they even start. So that would be the first phase of defining a product adoption. And then you think, I expect them to come every 3 days, check that, measure that, save that, export that, play with that, whatever, okay? Create that. And then you start measuring even your early customers. And then data starts to come in, and then you need to look back at the data after a few months, depend how many customers. When you have substance, which is enough to do some analysis on, you take it back, and then you try to see, again, it depends how many customers you have, and it depends also if you're B2C or B2B, it really is different, and it depends if you're a product-led growth company or a sales oriented company. It really changes. All these 4 parameters really change the picture, but assuming you can access your customers, so you compare with the actions they do in your system, and you compare it with their reactions, with your interviews of them, telling them what they like, what they find in it, what is missing, what's working for them, what's not. And then you adjust. You adjust it in 2 ways. One is obviously you try to find better solutions for their needs, but also you deep dive on the things that do work for them, and then you add more weight for the product adoption calculation that you have. And on a very late stage, when you get to the renewals stage, for example, at Appsflyer, it's a yearly renewal. So closer to the renewal stage, you already have, in a regular company without product adoption, you have some indications whether the account is going to renew or not. But when you have product adoption, you can actually tell if they're going to renew or not. And I'll tell you in a minute how we do that. But before that, I want to say that in that stage of a company, not the beginning, not when you try to analyze and adjust, when you already have a large sum of data from existing customers, you can correlate the actual correlation between known renewals and level of product adoption. And that's a key thing. That's a key thing.
Just to paraphrase that, so low product adoption before renewal is a leading indicator that customer will potentially drop.
Completely, and that's key. And And that's how you, I'll discuss the benefits of measuring product adoption in a second. I'm just still in the phase of defining product adoption. So what we did, because we did have data of retention, etc., we could play with the weights of the actions to create the product adoption definition by ensuring that when we get, let's say, 0.8 product adoption, it correlates to very high chances of retention. And if it's 0.6, it's less chances of retention based on real past customer data. So this is how we adjusted the weights of the elements within the product adoption formula.
So it's an actual equation with a number between 0 and 1 in the end.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Maybe I wasn't clear about that.
No. It was clear. I'm just picking out the some of the keywords that I found very insightful. I have a side question here. It's probably for earlier stage companies, and I'm going to bring a personal example. One of the topics that we're working on with Airtime is to build a solution to analyze user interviews automatically and pick out product insights. Now, a side product of this is to create a transcript. And I never thought of like measuring the usage of transcript, but it turned out from some user interviews that some of our customers come because we can generate good quality transcript for like language, like not English, Spanish, or typical large languages, but like languages of smaller countries. And I'm saying this example because when I follow, I also had like in mind what product adoption is, and by chance I stumbled upon that I had the wrong definition. Has this happened to you in the past? Are there any safeguards to say that okay, I defined product adoption correctly?
So yes, that's the iterative process that I mentioned. You definitely get it wrong at the beginning. I mean, if you don't use customer data that you already have, you surely will get it wrong because you're not sure yet which levers are more impactful for retention, for the customer satisfaction from your product. I'm saying retention and customer satisfaction as if it's the same. It's not the same. But let's maybe open a parenthesis here and just say about customer satisfaction a word or two. So customer satisfaction is key. We all know that. It's not new to us, but I want to emphasize why customer satisfaction is crucial. So customer satisfaction is crucial because happy customers keep paying you and renew their subscription, but they're not only renewing, they're more open to hear more solutions from your software company because they're happy with one thing that you're providing them. Maybe they'll love the other thing that you can provide. So there are upsells here. There are also expansion opportunities with a happy customer. A happy customer is happy. He would like his colleagues to use that platform as well to gain the benefits that they use. So it's a third revenue stream. And the fourth revenue stream from happy customers is you talking to your friends at the parents of your kindergarten friends and tell them, I'm getting so much value out of that and the product, you want to try it as well. And that a fourth revenue value because the word of mouth is bringing you more customers. So customer happiness is crucial. And my view is that customer satisfaction is measured best by product adoption. And why is that? Usually companies measure customer satisfaction with CSAT or with NPS score. These are the generic, regular customer happiness measures. But it's very tricky because NPS and CSAT are subjective. It's what the customer says they feel, what the customers say they extract out of the platform. And they can say one thing and do another thing. And they can say one thing, they say, yeah, I'm really happy. And they don't even access the platform, not even once a month. But they would say that, and that would be reflected in the CSAT score. And you think everything is great, but it's not. The only objective customer satisfaction measurement is product adoption, is what they do, not what they say they do. So this is this is why it's so crucial to measure product adoption. But why do we? What did you ask that I open?
No. So so the where I wanted to go is the benefits of measuring, right? We defined, and I see some questions about the weight and how actually the measurement works. Let me put that topic in the Q&A part, and right now proceed with the. Okay, so we know what product adoption is. We know we measure it. Let's just simplify it by usage and seeing extracting value for the customer. That's a better way to put that. So what are the benefits for the product team, or maybe outside the product team, for measuring product adoption?
Great question, because I think it has so much value outside of the product team, obviously for the product team, but also for many other groups within the company. And I'll tell you how we at Appsflyer are using it in 4 different teams. So let's start with the benefits for product managers, because it's the easiest. Every product manager, and having 15 sub-products, every product manager want to track how much value our customers extract from their product, not from the whole platform, obviously from the whole platform as well. But it's important for them to understand the delta, what their product within the platform is contributing to Appsflyer's success for customer satisfaction. So each product manager is really interested in how their product is being adopted, and not only the numbers. Okay, I need to take one step backwards. Take the formula of product adoption that provides a number between 0 to 1 and tells you where it stands, like between 0 to 1. But you want to measure it over time. You want to see that a certain customer has been using it to a degree of 45, and now he's 68. If it grows, it means good things, but how do you know how much growth you need to make, for example, to ensure that this customer is being retained in the next renewal cycle? How do you know how high it should be to ensure that they're really happy and they can extract all the value that you want from them? So to that end, and I think that is unique to us, at least I haven't seen it in the past, and I really love the methods that we're using it here. We took the product adoption value, and obviously we track it over time, but to simplify the understanding of the trend and where the line crosses, that is like above it is safe for that customer. We define 3 buckets. We define, and these 3 buckets are different for each product because each product behavior is different. But let's say one of the products, we define that a score between 0 to 0.35 means no adoption. And when I say no, it's between no to doing tiny things once every. And then there is low adoption, like 0.36 to 0.78, whatever. And then 0.78 up to 1.0. And we cut those levels in a way that the high level is scientifically correlated to 80% chances of retention. And that is key. That is key because then it tells not only product managers, but CSMs and sales and growth teams, which products they don't need to pitch to their existing customers because the customers are already using them at a level which is safe. They're finding the value in it. You don't need to pitch anything about that. But then they can pitch on other products in the platform and help the customer extract the value from it so that they get to this safe zone of retention. So we have these 3 levels, no, low, and high. How does a product manager uses these 3 levels? So first of all, it's a trend. It's something that you track over time. Obviously, you count the number of accounts in each level, and you count the trend, and you can always drill in and see which customers are at which product adoption level. What you want to see as a product manager is that it goes up. People are moving from a lower bucket to a higher bucket, and that new entries are maybe entering the lower level but are moving up. You want to see the trend goes up, and you can trace it in a way that you can see for a certain cohort of users, like all the customers that joined you in September, in which stage are they? In which adoption level are they? And have they moved up? And if they haven't moved up, maybe you can contact them and ensure that they get the value within the platform, with CS, with marketing, with whichever other arm that you have, to tell the customer, I see that you might not be utilizing this feature or this program or this product, because I know you entered this deal with a reason, for a reason. You had a goal in mind, and I see that you seems like you're not getting the value. How can we help you? And this is how you get the value, etc., etc. So, and that's what product wants to look at, how to grow the usage, because it correlates with retention. Okay, and then you move. Yeah, you have a question.
Yeah, and no, just the other departments outside of product. I'm really curious.
Right.
How did they use it?
So let's start with CS. And I think the value for CS is like astronomical. CS can take the same data and calculate per account, per customer, what the product adoption level is. That's another type of formula that we created on top of the product adoption calculation. And let me take you into this calculation as well. We define that no usage, say we have 15 products, okay? And no usage is a 0, a low usage is a 1, and a high usage is a 2. And then we summed up the levels of usage per customer across all our products. So if we have 15 products, the maximum score that a customer can get is 30, because it like high adoption in all products. And that is an amazing tool for CS, because first of all, they can see that not only the customer is paying because they bought, okay, they renewed, or they entered a contract with us and they're starting using the platform. If they see that they're in a like, let's say above 20, they say, amazing, the customer is extracting a lot of value from our platform, we're safe. And then CS can prioritize contacting this customer less often, because they see that they're already using the platform in a good way and extracting value, because their usage is, as we defined, extracting value. But if a customer is 10, maybe we should contact them and train them and see what their use cases is and show them how to follow their use cases within the system and extract the value that they need. And also, it's not only the nominal value of 10, 20, whatever, out of 30, it's comparing. And that's really amazing. You can look at a certain customer in a certain industry, in a certain size, in a certain volume of activity, and compare it to other customers with the same parameters. And then you can see and check, well, these customers in the gaming industry with, I don't know, 3 apps that are measuring that and that are usually using that product to an extent of 2 and that other product to an extent of 1. But you, my other customer, is not. So maybe, so I know which products within the platform are most likely to gain more benefit for that customer.
Okay, so you know what to recommend to them when you get in touch, and you know what will most likely bring a higher product adoption. That's super smart.
Yeah. So they actually do that. They actually know which products to pitch, which product to train on, which product to work with a customer to extract more value. And again, pushing the right products to our customers is the one that will make them stay with us longer, because they find the value. So so that's yes. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. I just wanted to stop here for a second before we move on to other topics. And you mentioned one of the things that your colleagues at Appsflyer do is to reach out to customers to proactively suggest something or increase product adoption. So these are calls. Are there any other kinds of measures that can move customers from a lower bucket to an upper bucket, besides talking to them?
Yes. And just a sec before I answer the question, I want to just mention another aspect for CS, because I think it's really, really important.
Sure.
So there's the proactive thing that the CS can do when they see a customer is not extracting the highest value they can from the product. But there is more to it, because we mentioned earlier that there is a renewal process, and probably a month or two before renewal, the CS team is looking at the customer thinking, will they renew, will they not? And until we started using the product adoption, this was just okay, I spoke to them, they seem happy, I think they'll renew. But now we have a scientific way of knowing, are they going to renew? If we see that they're high in adoption, they continue to use it at a high level, we know that we're safe. If we see that they're dropping, we can act on it. And the thing is that we can act on it 6 months before renewal. We don't need to wait till 2 months before renewal to know if they're going to renew or not. We can see the trend. And if we see them moving down with their score, or moving down with the usage of a certain product, we understand that something is not working well. And we can proactively talk to them and get them back to the desired high level. And I think that's an amazing tool. It's like, I don't know, it's a scientific way to ensure that your customers are happy, and it's amazing. Now, back to the next question of yours. So talking to customers is obviously very, very effective, but with masses, it's not the way to go. You need to scale. So there are two ways, and again, it depends if you're sales-led or sales and marketing or PLG-led company. If you're sales and marketing, obviously you send them materials, but the materials needs to be customized, and they need to be customized to their industry, to their use case, and that again is something that product adoption can help you with, generating this very specific marketing materials and marketing messages to your customers, because you can see, you compare to other customers which are at high level but similar to you, and you see what they're doing that can help those non highly adopting customers to do. So that's marketing and sales activities. You use the same use cases when you do webinars and when you post like industry knowledge articles, etc. You use the same extraction of value that you see others are utilizing to pull the lower usage companies or users, because you understand what value they can find. So that's when it's product and marketing led. When you're a PLG led company, obviously it needs to be within the product. They need to find it themselves. And we use tips within the platform for different stages of usage, by the way. It depends if you're in the onboarding phase or if you're a veteran user. And if you're in the onboarding stage, we really take you step by step into setting and using and like getting into desired goals that we know are right to your business and to your business goal. So we do interview the customer when they start with us, and we understand what their jobs to be done are. And we take them through a setup and usage journey, which is very designated and closed, so that they can get to an accomplishment within the platform and start using it and extract the value and start using it more. If they're already like using the platform for a while, it depends whether it's an existing capability or a new capability. New capability is like any product, we announce it within the platform, and we always try to tie it to the business goal of the customer, to their jobs to be done, because it doesn't help them if I tell them there's a new dashboard. It will help them if I tell them, now you can measure this and that and correlate with another thing, and here's how you do it. So it always has to be their need, obviously.
Okay, cool. Rachel, I have a last question, and I'm also looking at the clock to make sure that there's time for questions. I already see 2 questions in the chat. And I want to ask about the lowest bucket, right? Those are the with no product adoption. Is there a segment in there where you say it's not worth the effort? Do you try to move all of them up, or are there like types of customers where you say, yeah, we converted them one, but it's not economic. It doesn't make sense to invest time and try to move them up.
So I would tell you what we do at Appsflyer. I don't know how it's with other companies, but we have tiers. We define tiers for our customers. The tiers are based on the expected ARR, like the expected lifetime value of that customer to Appsflyer. The actual and the expected. So we have like actual tier and expected tier. How big can that customer become? And we definitely put more efforts on the whales, or the ones that will become whales. So we have much higher touch connections with the ones like a dedicated CSM to the ones that are expecting to provide more ARR. And like we call it CEM, like one person per tens of customers that is like helping them, but not as a dedicated CSM to our larger customers. So definitely, yes, we don't invest the same efforts in the whole set of customers.
Okay, cool, amazing. Rachel, thanks so much. I'm gonna open up the discussion for the audience now. If you have any questions about what Rachel said, if you have something that's on the top of your mind, it doesn't let you sleep, this is the time to throw it in there and pick Rachel's mind. Let's see if this works. Oh, okay, amazing. It's the first time I use StreamYard, but apparently I can put questions here on the screen. And I'm going to put the first question from Irene here. You can also see that, Rachel, right?
Okay, so measuring product adoption early helps to predict renewals, and you can bring it up to measure in low UX maturity company, as you can predict problem before it becomes one. Low UX maturity company. What do you mean by low UX maturity company?
Irene, if you're still here, please you can use the comments to add some context around that. My wild guess would be that a lot of data is not yet available about customers. And then how do you make that prediction in an environment where data is scarce?
Okay, and I would even take it. I'll try to concentrate on the UX maturity thing. I understand it as we're not sure if our user experience is right, and customers will be able to understand how to utilize the product to their needs. So the answer is yes. If you as a product manager expect your users to be able to perform certain actions and get to certain results, and you see that they don't score high enough, they don't get to these results, they don't even perform the set of actions in the trail that you expect them to perform, and that this is why they don't get to the high score. Yes, you understand that you have a problem in the UX because they can't get to a high level of adoption. What I would do at this stage, well, these are generic product management ways of handling it, but I would look at the funnel and see where they're stopped, like where do they not make the next step, and understand that they don't understand how to get to that next step, which will then make the full adoption higher. So the answer in short is yes.
So Irene also put some context around her question. I'm going to throw it up here. So she's also thinking of like, what would you recommend her? How can she convince her colleagues that product adoption should be measured?
Well, I'm just 100% with you. It makes no sense to, well, it does make sense like in the first 3-4 months of a product, if you're not very focused on the persona and the problems that you're trying to solve. Sometimes you throw things up and see what catches, but it can't last beyond a few months of a new product introduction. I wouldn't go this way. Because it's a waste of efforts, waste of time, waste of resources. You need to understand the problem that you're trying to solve and see if the solutions that you provide are solving these problems. Otherwise, it's a whole waste of money. I think you should take it in a way that the product managers in your company are measured by product adoption. If they are measured by product adoption and their goal would be to see adoption of their product and not how many features have you launched, then it will change the whole picture. Does it make sense?
Absolutely, absolutely. There's a little addition I wanted to put in on this topic. I think it always helps to understand what are the goals of the product owners in this case. What do they try to achieve? And if you can position measuring product adoption in a way that it helps them achieve their goals, and then all of a sudden it's not something that you're forcing on them, but that's something that is helping them to accomplish their tasks. And this is more like company politics, not necessarily my field of expertise, but I've always found it's easier to present something that helps people in their natural path, as opposed to imposing them something from externally because we know it better. 2 cents on this. I have a question from Guillaume. Thanks, Guillaume, for asking this, because I was also curious about the formula. So how should we imagine this formula?
Okay. So he's asking, for each user, you compute weight on a feature, usage, or action to measure the adoption of it. Is there any specific formula for that? So it's not for each. Yeah, it's for each user. Well, our users are companies, but yes, for each account or company that is using your product. Yes. So what would be the formula like? Let's take an example of an analytics dashboard. Okay, you go into a dashboard and you have several predefined fields or predefined values that you can compare to each other, and then you can drill in and do things like that. And then you can also create your personal dashboard based on other parameters which are not cross-referenced yet. Let's say that's the product. So basic adoption, for example, would be entering and viewing a preset. Further adoption would be drilling in the presets. A third level of adoption would be creating your own, saving and returning to it. So my formula would take these 3 actions into account and give a weight to each of them. I don't know what the weight is because I want to correlate it with retention, but I will try and see if it makes sense. And if my knowledge of the customer happiness is making sense with the score that I trial at the beginning. It's a trial and error, and you adjust it as you go along and as you can measure and correlate it with actual data. But for example, I would say 50% to entering and viewing, another 30% to drilling in, and another 20% to the deep advanced usage of creating your own, etc. And that would be the score.
Cool. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not gonna say it for Guillaume, but I think it gave a good visualization of what that formula could look like. Obviously, you have to pick these kind of actions and events for your particular product, and then, as Rachel said, you just iteratively refine the weights. Are there any more questions from our audience? I love the questions so far. If there are any other ones, this is your chance to ask. Until I see further questions out there, I have one last one for you, Rachel, because you shared so many things, and I'd like to ask you to distill it a little bit for us. And if there are like 3 takeaways, 3 things we should remember from the discussion today, what should they be? Okay.
I would say it this way. First of all, product adoption is the most important KPI for product managers, because that's the only objective way of measuring the value that product managers bring to the company. If you measure product adoption, you can harness all the other departments in the company to work towards the same goal of product adoption, and use cross-department efforts into making sure that you're getting the customers higher and higher, and securing ARR, securing retention and growth for the company. And it's so important because it's not only an indicator for something that already happened, it predicts the future as well. So it's not like seeing the number of customers drop, that's already too late. You can see that they're dropping their usage, and then you can act on it before they're actually dropping from using your product completely. So it's a powerful tool, and I do hope you all understand and use it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll have to embrace it myself. To use like a comparison from popular movie culture, Minority Report popped up for me. Minority Report is a Tom Cruise movie where like any crimes that will happen in the future are sort of predicted. And I think, I know it's not Minority Report in this case, but I think it's extremely powerful that you see if a customer is developing in a bad way, and you have the time and the measures to act and make sure that they stay in this upper bucket. Rachel, I'm eternally grateful for sharing your wisdom. You have an amazing setup at Appsflyer, and wish you the best of luck in there. And I hope to see you around to pick your mind on other topics as well.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
And thanks to the audience as well for the great questions. I wish everyone a nice afternoon, evening, or morning, depending on where you tuned in from. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.